I'm making a difference.
I am making a difference.
J'agis pour un monde meilleur.
I am making a difference.
I am making a difference.
I am making a difference.
I'm making a difference.
I am making a difference.
I am making a difference. I'm Stewart, and I'm an associate professor at the Faculty of Education at the University of Winnipeg, and I'm currently doing research with children in post-conflict situations. I am making a difference with Millennium Development Goal number 2, achieving universal primary education. The work that I do currently is I work with teachers, primarily in post-conflict situations, and I'm working with them to increase capacity within their communities to address both the psychosocial and the educational needs of children who are in their care. MCIC provided funding for a small project in northern Uganda. I traveled from the University of Winnipeg with another colleague from the faculty, and we went to 2 communities in northern Uganda. One was Kitgum and one was Gulu, where there had been a significant number of children who had been affected by war. The teachers requested that we come to do some in-service training just to provide a little more skills in the area of guidance and counseling and supporting the psychosocial needs of children. So we had targeted these 2 communities. What we were able to do is design certain activities that would assist children in post-conflict situations. And to develop these ideas, it actually going back even further, where I did a research study in Manitoba on the needs, educational and psychosocial needs of children who have come from post-conflict situations and who are now living in Manitoba. And really it's non-Western ways of supporting children. So I found that a lot of the ways that we supported children were one-to-one counseling and more sort of traditional ways of talk therapy or talking to children. But we found that that really wasn't as effective as we thought it may be. So we developed different strategies like expressive arts, music, dance and drama, puppetry, theater, ways that were very different of supporting children and helping them adjust more to life after conflicts. I think sometimes we have our eyes shut to other ways of helping. We tend to look at it through our own lens, our Canadian lens or our Western lens of supporting children. Yet from my work that I did in Uganda, in Zimbabwe and now in South Sudan, I think we really need to open up and look through a different lens sometimes to say these ways of helping kids are really different and they're very helpful, and now what can we transfer from that context to our context in Canada. For children who have refugee backgrounds, education is the key for them. It's their priority. And unfortunately, for some of them, there's several obstacles and challenges that they must overcome, both in Manitoba and in post-conflict situations. So we need to address a lot of those issues with these children and to say, what are ways that we can better support them in school. So for children to want to go to school and want to be in school, I think as adults we need to do everything we can possibly to make that a reality for them. I think another important thing to remember is that although the policy states that we want or we're trying to achieve universal primary education, there's different factors that get in the way of doing that. So when you're in a community, you understand that although there's a policy of universal primary education, we still see about 61 million children who are not in school worldwide. 53% of those children are in sub-Saharan Africa, and even more so, only 70% of those are girls. And so we need to address, again, issues of gender inequality in terms of children accessing education. And although we have this goal of universal primary education, there's other factors, and I see that conflict gets in the way of children attending school. Poverty gets in the way. So for example, children need to have a uniform in many of the areas, for many of the schools. They need to have a uniform, a school uniform, and many of the families simply cannot afford one. And if they can afford a school uniform, often the priority is given to the boy children. So there's other issues that come into play, and we've learned through working with communities that although we're striving for primary education, we're striving for a universal education worldwide, there's still many factors that we need to address. I am Stewart, and I am making a difference.